Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, a big company and its new manager held off our pay. We took in all their sales. After that, taught a lesson to my idiot boss who tried to get credit and promotion for a software I made and fired me over it. Finally, aggressively speed through a residential neighborhood. Now your car is wrecked. Before we get into today's episode, remember to subscribe so you never miss another of our videos. A big company and its new manager held off our pay. We took in all their sales. Premise: I work for a technology company, which falls in the startup medium enterprise category. Let us refer to this as my company. We were working on creation of an Internet of Thing, IoT-based product for large industries, but as we were new to the domain, we had hired a couple of industry experts to help us understand the domain and help us with understanding the gaps. This is a common practice. Enters bigger company, a company that has been dealing with devices for over 15 years now. They had a product in our same domain named Big Product. They had Big Product version 5 running in various places, which was built on legacy stack. Their new version Big Product 6.0 tanked really hard among their clients, and they needed someone who dealt with better technology to help them build their product, and that brought them to us. The coming of bigger company was really good for our product, as they had really good insights to bring to the table. As being a major player, they wanted us to build Big Product 7.0 instead of our product, but being a product company that was out of scope. Thus we decided to be API providers for us to back-end capabilities while the UI looks different. Think of it as different buttons in your web page, but similar functionality. We were also responsible for bundling and deploying the application. Legally, we have signed a contract says my company clearly owns the code and they have no right to see or recreate our code, just to make us indispensable as API providers for bigger company. Things have been going well for both of us and the both products were shaping up well. Incident. Suddenly, one day bigger company gets a new guy to handle the product, big manager, and we see some red flags immediately. Major escalation and blame gaming for every deployment and everything, eventually to a point where we were tired of the engagement with bigger company. We were targeting a major product expo for October 2019, and so were they. With the big manager came in some associates who kept asking technical questions and logic and stuff and pestering our developers. This led to a suspicion that they were trying to micromanage and peep in on our tech stack, which made our team work on better encryption for our code, essentially making things even better for us. He changed few keys in the database and complained that there was a bug. We sealed off the database. He decided to not pay for the engagement, showing our incompetence. He also sold the license to the product without paying us to some of his clients. One fine day, they called a junior developer asking some doubts, which resulted in him joining a call with them. The link was soon shared in our team's chat and almost all of us, including my CEO, joined the call. Now, we promptly had things recorded. Our plan was simple: make sure that their product doesn't get presented for the major expo. We pulled sufficient proof to prove that there was non-compliance with our contract. The next day, we pull in the legal team and decide to call off the engagement. We also hand over the entire documentation on the same day. The team pulled an all-nighter. Also, we had seen this coming. One of the things that was scheduled for next week was to make their deployment HTTPS compliant. Now, for most on-premise deployments in plants, people really don't go with SSL-enabled products, but for the expo, a secure deployment was mandatory. They did not have this, which meant they can talk about their product, but can't show it in real time. We actually were open with a try it out for free now. Things looked bad for them for the expo, but they were still bigger players and had a larger client base. We changed the look of our product, and called it our product 2.0. It is the same product, but looks different, and word got out that Big Product 7.0 runs on our product 1.0, and man, our stalls were filled with their clients who were not pleased with their earlier product. 6.0, the one that tanked. What big manager might have never understood is that what actually happened wrong for him. With every escalation mail he sent, our team became slower for him. We pushed him to a place where he decided to build on his own. What he did not realize was that was exactly what we wanted him to do. We had started the preparation of 2.0 in parallel for the expo. We had every intention of ditching them before the expo. We had no intention of upgrading their security for the expo. Soon after the expo, we cancelled license to all their clients, and when they came barging into the doors of bigger company, they pointed to us. We were more than happy to reinstate their products, and as a gesture for their inconvenience, we gave them our product 2.0 with no migration charges. Bigger company currently doesn't sell the software, or do they? They are pretty much irrelevant. Taught a lesson to my idiot boss who tried to get credit and promotion for a software I made and fired me over it. I was working in a finance company last year. One day, I proposed to my manager that since I have a computer programming background, I know that for that manual job XYZ, automation can be done using some new tech and it'll reduce 500 man-hours per week. He also has some tech background, so he says it hasn't been done because it can't be done, and behaved with condescension. I, being bullheaded and with shit to prove, and CV to build, developed it on my own, in my own time, on my home computer, then compiled it into a binary, single executable file without code, and gave it to him. He got permission from IT department to run it on his computer and was utterly sure that it won't work and he would get to laugh at me, but it did. Even though the software works, idiot manager took it as an insult somehow and banned me from using it, giving some inane reason that doing it manually was much more effective, which was a bummer because it was working beautifully. Fast forward a quarter or so, my manager was hard pressed for some brownie points during appraisal, so in examples of showing initiative he used my software, but without mentioning me. Some super senior manager took notice and gave him a promotion and a raise. Now instead of being a sensible guy and coming clean to get code from me, he calls me in his cabin, behaves rudely and says that I need to submit the code for that software. I asked him why you had said we won't be using it. He's like, either you submit the code or you'll be fired. I was already fed up of being treated like shit by this shit stain, just because he was somehow jealous. So I said fuck off, I won't submit the code, I know enough law to know that you can't sue me, and I resign. I came to know later through my colleagues that this is what he must have wanted, so that he could take the entire credit himself without dispute. Little did he know, there was a malicious code module hidden in that executable file, which checked for a 1 or 0 on a remote GitHub repository every time it was run. If 1 or no network, do everything as required, but if a 0 is received, that's emergency signal. I added that little code because his behavior was very shitty to begin with and I didn't trust him. I was planning to remove it after its official implementation, which never happened. So I went ahead and changed that 1 to 0 after I was fired, to ensure no one used it without my permission. Although he couldn't get the code, he did have the executable file, and I was also not in the company anymore, so in his arrogance, he called a meeting with his boss, his colleagues and my whole team, to show them a demo of this awesome software he had made. He was using it on his laptop every day without my knowledge. But today the 1 was 0, so as soon as he pressed enter, nothing happened, pressed enter again, nada. Suddenly his laptop was frozen and nothing was working anymore. It took him a while to realize something fishy was going on, and then he took out the laptop battery to switch it off. By then, all the Word, Excel and PowerPoint files were encrypted and the executable had erased itself out of existence. I used the same code, without the malicious module, to get a better job at another company, where I'm much more appreciated and the job is also fun. Then the whole COVID thing happened and now I'm cozily working from my home. My previous colleagues of that shitty company keep telling me that they are being forced to go to an office. So somehow it was the best decision I had made accidentally. That idiot boss's promotion and raise got cancelled because he couldn't produce what he promised. He also got reprimanded for losing a lot of important company data, which he attributed to some unknown virus, which wasn't believable because no one's allowed to put anything on those office laptops without security clearance from IT Dipt. He called me one night, drunk, angry, threatening me that he knows what I did. I feigned ignorance and quoted something like "shit happens to shitty people" and blocked his number. Aggressively speed through a residential neighborhood, now your car is wrecked. So this was quite a few years ago. One day my kids were skating in a quarter pipe, when this truck comes around the corner with a bubba driving, and he sees my daughter come off the quarter pipe, and instead of slowing down he floors it and rips past my house, still accelerating while yelling something about "keep out of the road fuckers." I yelled also slow down. The following weekend I'm out mowing my lawn and I see this guy coming, so I walk out to the edge and try to wave him down to talk, and Bubba floors it again, laughing like a maniac as he goes flying by with his engine redlining. This guy is a nut. So I go to the hardware store and picked up 3 of those 3-foot orange safety cones, and I put a sign on each one of them: "Slow down, residential neighborhood, kids at play." A few days later I come outside and find the cones have been run over. I already know who done it. I'm pretty pissed off. Like really angry. And in that anger I came up with my most brilliant plan. I went to the hardware store and purchased 3 new cones, along with cement and steel rebar. I filled those fuckers with rebar and cement and let them set. After the cones were ready I put them back out in the side of the street by my house with the same 3 signs as before. It didn't take long. 2 days later I'm in my garage tinkering and I hear that damn truck engine revving up as the bubba goes pedal to the metal. I look up just in time to see his truck steer towards the shoulder to run over the cones. Damn, it was a beautiful sight like none I've ever seen before. He hit the first cone with his bumper and the cone fell forward and rotated the base up towards his engine block and actually lifted the front of his truck upwards, as his front passenger wheel made a direct connection with the second cone and launched his truck up even higher in the air. The third cone also made a direct hit on his right tire suspension as his truck came down to a screeching halt. There were fluids running out from under his truck and his passenger tire was angled inwards at a 90-degree angle. Bubba was pissed off and started screaming about how I wrecked his truck and how I'm gonna pay. I yelled back and said, well then let's call the cops and get them out here to make a report, and you can tell them how you were racing down to road and intentionally ran over the safety cones, or I can call you a tow truck. Which will it be? We called a tow truck. I never did see Bubba drive down my street anymore after that incident. I was worried he'd try to get revenge, but nothing ever happened and we moved out a couple of years later. If you made it to the end, thanks for watching. Please remember to show your support and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.